Welcome to Secret Story. We parked in the lot, on the back row. Case turned to me. Ally, I have Travis here with two of his rather large men. They are here for our protection and to implement the last parts of the plan. They are not here to hurt anyone, just the opposite. They are here to ensure nothing goes crazy and that no one gets hurt. There is a chance that things could get a little crazy when we approach Ted, and I talk with him, telling him what will be happening tonight. Case got out and talked with Travis. Then Travis and his two men entered the restaurant. Case got back in the inn with me. We have to move now before many more people arrive, and we have to be finished before the police arrive in 20 minutes. Are you ready? No, Case, I can't do this. I don't know how. It is simple, just say what I wrote out for you. And I will do the rest. You can step back, and Travis will be there if anything goes awry. You have to do it, and you will do fine. Case opened his briefcase taking our 4 envelopes and a small handgun. He tucked the gun in his belt so it was visible. My heart filled my throat, and I started to panic. Oh God, Case, why do you have a gun? What are you going to do? Case smiled at me. Ally, this is a blank gun, a starter pistol that looks real but cannot shoot a bullet. It is harmless and legal to have, and it will scare Ted when he sees it. I want Ted to feel my wrath tonight so that he will understand he is escaping with his life and that if he ever contacts you again, bad things will happen to him. I am dead serious about that. If he ever contacts you again, he will experience severe life-changing pain and suffering. I want him to know his leaving town is the only reason he is not severely physically punished for what he has done to us. As for Sandy, the same goes for her. I have other plans for her that will not be disclosed tonight, so what I say tonight will be a strong forewarning of things to come. If you break down and start to cry, that is up to you. But I will not stop what I am doing or saying, and you will stay and hear every word. You will not say one word to either Ted or Sandy other than what is in the script. Do you understand? Tonight is the last time you will ever see Ted or Sandy. So take one last look. I sat stunned, listening to Case telling me what would happen. My heart was beating 1,000,000 times a minute, about to pound out of my chest. My throat was dry, and my mouth filled with cotton. I had difficulty swallowing and wasn't sure I could do this. That I read the script and could remember it, but I would read it to be sure I covered everything. I could not believe Case could be so vindictive. I know Case loves me. I also know that what Ted and I did was horrible. Sandy had arranged it all, but I was responsible as well. I wondered what Case had in store for me as my punishment for my cheating. Case said, "Okay, we have to go now." We walked across the parking lot and entered the Blue Lighthouse for the last time ever. Travis had paid for the cover charge, so we walked directly to the small private room where the party was supposed to be. Case stood at the door. I was to enter first, then Case, followed a few minutes later by Travis and one of his men. The other man would stay at the door to prevent anyone from entering until we were through. He would also direct the police to the room and Ted when they arrived. Case looked at me. "Showtime, you ready?" "No, but I have no choice." "Okay, go on in." Case opened the door, and I walked in. I stopped just inside the door. There were 6 people in the room. Sandy, James, Ted, and another woman must have been his date, and a third couple I didn't know. As I walked into the room, an instant silence fell over the room and an eerie quiet. Then Sandy came running across the room. "Ally, my God, you came." Before she got to me, I held my arm like a roadblock. I suddenly felt empowered, and things became crystal clear to me. These 2 people had almost destroyed my life. I had been an active participant, but they were the instigators responsible for starting the whole mess. Sandy abruptly stopped. "Don't touch me." I growled at her that I saw Ted stand up with a huge smile as if he would come to me. Then he saw me stop Sandy. His expression changed and he sat back down when he saw Case enter the room behind me. "Sandy, go sit down. There was a sudden hatred in my voice. She looked at me with fear and confusion as she retreated to her chair. Case came up beside me, and we walked to the table, standing in front of the six of them. Travis and his man came through the door and stood there looking ominous. Everyone looked at each other but said nothing. Case spoke to James and the other three people. "We need the room to talk to Ted and Sandy. Please leave the room for a few minutes and have a drink on us. See the man outside, and he will take care of you." Case had taken off his jacket, handing it to Travis. The pistol was visible in his belt. Everyone was silent. I looked at Case, then at Ted and Sandy. The others quickly got up and left, clearly unhappy with what was going on. And glad to be leaving. I looked at the script, then pushed it into the pocket of my dress. I didn't need it, I knew what I wanted to say. "Sorry we are messing up your little party, but Ted, since you are leaving for California. We knew this was the best place to find you and give you gifts from Case and me. Your leaving the area is a smart idea. I am not sure if it would be healthy for you to stay here. You never know what might happen." The looks on their faces was confusion. "When I got the invite from Sandy today, I couldn't resist coming to see you for the last time. When I told Case about your little party, he insisted on coming along too. He also brought a few of his friends since we knew there would be many of your friends here too. I was so surprised that there were so few people here. We must have arrived early, or you don't have many friends." I was getting into it now. The clear realization of what these two had done to me, with my own help, made me angry. Interestingly, my reaction when I saw Ted was the opposite of what I thought it would be. I was free of him, and now it was payback time. "Ted, when I heard you were leaving, I had to come by and give you a gift. No, actually I have two for you, Ted, and a couple for Sandy too." Case put his briefcase on the table, opened it, and I took out the two thin legal envelopes, handing them to me. "Ted, since you were so aggressive with me, not letting me return the gift after I knew I had made a huge mistake. Insisting that we meet in person, then seducing me several times once you saw my weakness. You didn't care what you did to my marriage and my husband Case. Yes, I was a willing participant once you continued to pursue me, but still, if you had not been such a predator, I could have walked away. So, to make sure that you can never pursue me again, I have had the court issue a permanent restraining order against you. This way, you will never be able to call, text, email, or see me from this day forward. Your being in California should make that easier." I handed the envelope to Ted, and there was a shocked look on his face. I turned to Sandy. "Sandy, you were supposed to be my friend. But all you wanted to do was destroy my marriage so I would be as miserable as you are. I am sure Travis's men would love to spend time with you. You were the instigator of this whole mess. If you had not called James to bring Ted that first night, we would not be here tonight, and my life would not be in complete turmoil. So, from this day forward, I never want to see or hear from you in any way. You must also stay 200 feet from me, meaning you must leave if you walk into my room. The only exception is if we are in a work environment, you can only speak to me about work. A violation would land you in jail for 30 days. Sandy was shocked and started to cry. I felt nothing for her and knew I was also free of her. I handed her the envelope. Then, Case stepped up. "I have filed a personal lawsuit against both of you as co-conspirators in the infidelity that Ally has perpetrated on me. It was the two of you that instigated every step of her betrayal. Yes, Ally was a willing participant after your predatory behavior seduced her. The court has filed this lawsuit, and I am officially serving you now." Case handed each of them a second envelope. Sandy quickly opened the envelope and gasped as she read the summary of the cover sheet. "Oh my God, $2 million Ted, oh God, what have we done? I will be ruined." Ted tore open his envelope and read it. They were co-conspirators, and they were jointly being sued. He looked up at me, and his eyes were sad. He was crushed, just what Case wanted. I guess, that is wanted I it too. I did have a small feeling of sorrow for him. He was a good man, caught up in a major mistake fueled by his predatory behavior and Sandy's relentless desire to destroy my marriage, which is something we'll never understand. Once the papers were all distributed, I stepped past Ally and lit into them, with a barrage of thoughts and threatening words that I meant fully. I went on for 5 minutes. I watched them cowering from me the louder I became. Just as I finished, 2 police officers entered the room. Which of you is Ted Logan? I am an officer. Ted stood up, the officers approached. Sir, I have a warrant for your arrest for infidelity. Please turn around and put your hands behind your back. What? Ted was shocked, looking all around the room. He looked at Ally and Sandy, then finally at me, and his hands were cuffed. Sandy went berserk, screaming at Ally, then at me, charging at us. Travis's man quickly blocked her and held her in his big hands. The other police officer walked over to Sandy and looked into her eyes. Ma'am, please calm down, or I will arrest you for obstruction of justice and impeding an arrest. Sandy wrestled away from Travis's man and sat down. She knew she could not address me. Once Ted was taken away, Ally and I followed the officers to the parking lot. Once they left, I talked to Travis about the next part of the plan. Ally and I left for home. It was just 7:15 p.m., and we had had a wild last 2 hours. We drove home, stopping for Chinese takeout. We drank wine and ate at home, not talking much about what had happened today. Later we snuggled and watched a TV show. I awoke a few hours later after having a bad dream. I dreamt that Case had left me in the middle of the night and that Ted had slipped into the house. He threatened me. Case was in bed but was way on the other side. I slipped over to him and wrapped myself around him. I softly sobbed as I thought about the last 3 weeks and what a mess I had made. I had almost destroyed Case and my life together and our future family. Case stirred and rolled toward me, whispering, "What's the matter, baby?" I caressed his face and kissed him. I had a horrible dream. You left me in the night, and Ted snuck in with me. Case held me tight and kissed me. Ally, you are safe with me. Go back to sleep, and we will discuss it in the morning. I felt snug in his arms, so I quickly went back to sleep. Sunlight was shining through a thin opening in the curtains like a laser beam hitting me in the eyes. I rolled over, and Ally was there. I opened my eyes and saw her peacefully sleeping, and I wanted her to rest as long as she could. I awoke. It was late in the morning. I also thought that Case and I had to finish this today so we could put it behind us and move on. I smelled coffee brewing and heard bare feet coming up the steps. I felt a weight on the bed, and I stirred as if I was waking up. I rolled my head over as my eyes fluttered open, looking up at Case, who had a cup of coffee in his hand. "Hi, beautiful, coffee, or do you want something else?" Case smiled at me as I sat up. "No, I think I need a little break now. Coffee will be fine." I drank the coffee, and Case was holding me. "Ally, we have to finish everything today, so when you finish the coffee, I need you squeaky clean. Then put on a robe only, come down to my office, and we will finish this." Cass was serious now, and he wanted me to be clean. I wondered what he had planned. He kissed my head and left. I drank my coffee and then took a shower. I was clean for him. I dried my hair and then put it up in a ponytail. I put on some of Case's Orite perfume and a short silk robe. I walked downstairs to Case's office, and he was sitting in his chair typing on his computer. I went in and sat on the couch, and there was a bottle of wine and a glass for me. What was going to happen now? Why was I dressed like this? It was early for wine. Case turned toward me and smiled. "How are you doing, Ally?" "I don't know. I don't know what is next. Yesterday was a mixed bag of emotions, and my God, last night and this morning were incredible. Case, I love you so much. I don't understand how I could have allowed myself to do what I did." I looked at Ally. The final parts of her punishment were about to begin. "Ally, Ted is gone. He will never disturb you again. From this moment forward, Ted or Sandy's name will never cross our lips again. They are dead to us, do you understand? The look on Ally's face was that of concern and relief. Ted's household goods are being packed and shipped to him in California tomorrow, and everything about Ted will be over. Sandy had her second warning this morning at 4 a.m. when Travis visited her to reinforce what happened last night and told her Ted was out of jail and would leave today, not Thursday. He also cautioned her about ever trying to contact you. As for us, there are 2 things we must finish today. And we can move on with our lives. I have 2 unique gifts for you. You will get used to wearing them from today on. Ally's eyes grew big, and she looked very nervous, hearing what I told her. So, first things first. Ally, move the straight back chair in the middle of the room. While Ally was moving the chair, I set up my phone to record the spanking so I could use it to remind her that I would do this again if necessary. Looked at Ally sitting, wringing her hands. Do you really have to do this to me? Ally, you have to be punished. It is clear that I have been too easy on you during our marriage, so easy that you felt you could disrespect, betray, and cheat on me without fear of getting caught. You have no fear of me, but you should have. You should know I will do anything to protect myself and my family, and I will not tolerate disrespect from you. These punishments are easy compared to what I would do and are better than a divorce. The word surfaced, divorce. If you would rather I move on and divorce you, I can do that. It would break my heart, but I could do it. It is your choice, my punishment, or the alternative. Ally stood and walked to me. Get ready, this will be slow and could take a few minutes. I waited a few minutes until she calmed down before I moved on to the second punishment. That I took 2 boxes out of my desk drawer and handed Ally the smaller one. Open this one first. Ally sat up, accepted the gift, smiled, tore off the silver paper, and opened the box. Her face brightened with a wide smile as she took out the velvet bag. What is it, Case? She loosened the tie strings and spilled the contents in her palm. Oh, Case, it is beautiful. She held up the engraved gold jewelry chain and read the inscription, Case owned. Ally looked at me with a quizzical look. Ally, that is an anklet you will wear every time you step out the door of our house and leave the property. It informs everyone that you belong to me, that I own you. You are my property and are never available to dance with, talk to, unless I give you prior permission. There was shock on Ally's face. But Case, I am yours, and always will be, so there is no need to broadcast that I am yours. It is like you're branding me. Ally, that is exactly why I am doing this. I thought you were mine before this happened, but that was not the case. The predator came calling, and you could not resist. From now on, I never want anyone even to think that they can have you, even if you know they can't. Ally, this is not an option, you will wear the anklet, or I will divorce you. The word surfaced for the second time, divorce. Ally looked down, not happy, but what choice did she have? I handed her the larger box. You liked the gift Ted gave you and wanted to wear them for him. I bought this, my gift for you. And I want you to wear it for me. Ally tore off the silver paper and opened the box. A strange look came across her face. Case, what is this? Ally looked at me. Case, why are you treating me this way? I apologize for making a huge mistake, but this is too much. I can't do it. I won't do it. I looked at Ally. I will leave you here now for a while. When I return, you will wear the anklet and belt. If not, I will have Anthony file the divorce papers and withdraw the purchase of Franklin Street. Ally, this is 100% on you, your choice. Be my wife or not. It is that simple. I dressed, left the divorce papers on the counter for Ally to read, and was gone. Case walked out, leaving his 2 gifts. I was shocked at what they were, and that he expected me to wear them every minute for 30 days, then he would control when and where I would wear them. The anklet was not so bad. I didn't want to be branded, but I had allowed myself to be seduced, and if this were what Case wanted me to do now, I would do it. I knew I would have to find a way to explain it to our friends and at work, which would be hard. The belt was another thing altogether. I held it up and looked at it. I thought the biggest challenge would be walking. Would the belt make me waddle or walk funny? That was a relief. The last thing was noise. Did it make any? It was after 4 p.m. I texted Case text, come home. Baby. I need you here, and I want to start dinner. What do you want? Case's text, I will be home soon. Don't cook, we will order out later. I sat, waited for Case, and tried to read my book, but I struggled to concentrate. I answered Ally's text, not telling her where I was or what I had been doing, that I have been to Jake's house. I needed to pick up my things, and Jake came home so we could talk about my new position and what was happening with Ally. That I told him what I had done about Ted and Sandy. I wanted Jake to know I was under control and that I would be good to start my new job next week. That we talked about my new duties. Jake told me he was limiting my travel for the next 3 months. I assured Jake that Ally would be okay by then and I would be able to travel. He was okay and wanted me to build the training program first and manage my accounts. We would assign the travel to other senior sales executives. As I left, Jake reminded me there was a pool party for the executive staff and spouses this Saturday at Michael, the CEO's home. It was to start at 4 p.m., and it was to introduce Ally and me and to celebrate my success and promotion. Thank you for everything, Jake. You are a great boss and friend. Ally and I are going to be okay. It will be difficult for a few months as we heal from this huge mistake and I learn to trust her again. As I told you Friday night, I am ready to give you 150% in my new position. You can take my word on that. I gave Jake a man hug, gathered up my things, and headed home to Ally. I had 2 more things to do to finish with Ted and Sandy. On my drive, I called Travis. That he answered, hey man, how are you doing? Travis, my friend, I am doing okay. It is a little rough right now, but we will work it out. I gave Ally her gifts today, and she was shocked. She will learn humility and loyalty the hard way. Travis chuckled, yeah, I guess she sure will. That belt thing was a great idea, and the anklet adds a great touch. Yeah, we will see if she wears them when I get home in a few minutes. Travis, I want to move on to the last parts of our plan for Ted and Sandy. I would let it go, but I wanted them to learn their lesson the hard way. Are we all set to go? Case, we confirmed Ted's address from the movers, and I have the team out there ready on your command. As for Sandy, we also have that set, but it will take a while to complete, so that Ted will happen first. We want to ensure all of Ted's goods have arrived and he was set up in his new place. Then we pulled the trigger on him, setting Sandy's demise in action. That will take a few months, but it will destroy her when we finish. Okay, I don't want to know anymore, only that it is done. That way, I can honestly say I know nothing about what would happen to both if Ally or the police asked me about it. Okay, once Ted is done I will call you on a burner phone and leave a message from Excel Mortgage for you to call them concerning Franklin Street. That will be your confirmation, and I will also keep you posted on the progress with Sandy the same way. I hung up with no response. That conversation never happened. A half hour later, I pulled into the garage, and it was time to see what Ally had done with my gifts. That I walked into the kitchen. Ally, I am home. I heard the shuffling of the fluffy bunny slippers Ally wore around the house. She walked in looking beautiful, wearing her small, flowered silk robe. Then it was over, and we were exhausted, lying in a sweaty pile holding our trembling bodies. We slept. I called in Monday and got Ally off for the week. Family emergencies always work. 2 weeks went by. We both were back to work. Ally had sidestepped the questions about the anklet by just saying it was my present and not letting the questions go any further. The weekend came, and we went to the party at Michael's house. It was the only time I let Ally leave the house without wearing her gifts. We had a great time, and Ally fit in with the other executive wives. Jake and Michael lauded me for my success and promotion. I was handed the keys to my new Mercedes parked out front. Ally and I stopped drinking so we could drive the two cars home. I was happy and told everyone that we bought the house on Franklin Street with the bonus I had earned. Everyone clapped at the news and was so pleased for us, especially Jake, that we left and drove home. As soon as we arrived, Ally crawled in the new Mercedes and sucked me off in the front seat. A month passed, Case and I closed on Franklin Street, then had dinner with the Johnsons that night as they departed the next day to start their new life in Florida. They were so excited that they would be near their daughter and grandchildren. We were also excited to move into our dream home on Franklin Street. It was not a huge mansion but rather an older home well built in the 1950s. It was a beautifully kept home with a big enough backyard to add a pool. It was on a well-kept street in the inner city. The large house had 5 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, a big living room, a nice dining room, and a large family room kitchen combo. There was also a would-be man cave in the finished basement. It was truly our dream home. Over the next few weeks, we will be busy moving in and getting settled. We would christen the rest of the rooms as we moved in. Almost 2 months have passed now, and we are moving next week. We had been out to dinner when I received a text message from an unknown number on our way home on a Friday night, and I was afraid to read it. At the next stoplight, I showed it to Case before I opened it. "You need to read this text and tell me if I can read it." Case took my phone and read the message. He had a troubled look on his face as he looked at me. "Ally, you can read it, but know before you read it that I had nothing to do with what is being claimed in the text." I took the phone and read the text. "Ally, I was fired today. I have been on my way out for the past month since I started seeing my new boss. He had only been at the company for a brief time. We were both fired for fraternization, which is against company policy. I was also blamed for a large amount of petty cash, almost $1,000, that had gone missing over the past few months. I didn't take the money but can't prove I didn't. The police want to talk to me. I am scared. It seems like ever since I up your life, my life has been up as well. I wonder if Case has had anything to do with what has happened. I am sure I deserved it. I miss you and know that this text could put me in jail. But I want you to know I never wanted to destroy your marriage. I just wanted you to be my friend. I just went about that all the wrong way. I am so sorry for what I did, and I hope you can forgive me. Your friend Sandy." I was shocked and saddened by the text. I looked at Case. "Did you?" "I told you I didn't. It must have been her own undoing. I was done with her that night at the restaurant. Now that she has violated her restraining order, should call the police and have her arrested." I turned in the seat and said, "No, Case, you can't do that. Sandy is not trying to do anything with me, she has stayed away from me at work, so no, Case, you are doing nothing. Do you understand? You are my master, but I have the final word on this, so no, you are doing nothing." We had finally moved into the house on Franklin Street. It was midday Saturday. Ally was off grocery shopping when I received a call on my cell. I was busy working in the yard, so I let it go to a message. I finished planting the flowers, went to the garage, and washed up. I went inside, got a beer from the fridge, and went out and sat on the deck. I drank a couple of swallows and took out my phone, and I clicked on the voice message and heard. "This is Excel Mortgage concerning your purchase of the Franklin Street house. Can you please call us back at your earliest convenience?" A shiver ran through my body. It was over. I didn't know what had been done. I was happy it was over. Now, my life could move on. Ally was already moving along. She has adjusted to her new position, and we are good. My new job was exciting, and I had put the training program together and held my first 4-day class. The sales rep's feedback was good, so we will see how well they implemented it. My new clients were moving along wonderfully, and new business was rolling in. Jake was pleased with how everything was going better than expected. My first week-long trip was coming up in 2 weeks. It will be the first time Ally, and I will be separated since those fateful 2 weeks. Ally and I are in a good place now, but I have been here every minute. In 2 weeks, I will not be. This was the first big test on trust and separation, and I had only a small concern that I would be away from Ally. It was Monday evening. We went furniture shopping. We enjoyed planning the rooms, where our furnishings went, and where we needed new furniture. Ally could stay busy decorating the week I was gone, which would help keep her busy at night. That we went to a huge furniture store. After a couple of hours and a lot of money, we bought 3 rooms of furniture. On the way home, we stopped for Chinese takeout and went home to eat. As we finished, Ally, we need to talk about my trip week. She looked at me with concern on her face. What? I will be okay. Ally went to take a shower. My phone was buzzing that I answered it. Case, Travis, can you talk? Travis, what is it? You need to know what happened to Ted. You don't want to know, but you need to know. I don't want to know anything. I can't know. Case, it's not that bad. What is it? What did your guys do? They caused a car accident, and Ted was hurt pretty badly, but he is recovering. The accident was a hit and run, and the car was a junk car that was crushed into a cube an hour after the accident. There is no way the car will ever be discovered. What happened to Ted? His body was broken up pretty badly. His 2 arms, 8 ribs, 1 leg, and an ankle were broken. There were some cuts and a lot of bruising. No permanent damage, but he lost the job opportunity due to his long recovery time. Wow, was that what they had planned? No, they went a little bit crazy, and the accident was much worse than was planned. I will never use those guys again for anything, and they didn't take any money since they had up. I don't think they can trace it back here, but I felt like you needed to know, in case it ever did come up. Okay. Thanks, I think we should only talk about company business from now on. Travis agreed, and we hung up. That I had an odd feeling. I never wanted Ted to be hurt, and that was never the plan. Well, it was over now, and life had to move on. I lay back as my mind clouded, and I closed my eyes. I slept. I left the bedroom and walked through our new home feeling wonderful about how things had turned out. That I walked out to the deck, sat, and looked over our yard. I could smell the flowers I had planted and the freshly mowed lawn. I became very reflective about the past 3 months. That I had almost been destroyed by what had happened. I had one of those days when everything went wonderfully but was suddenly trumped by the most horrible thing imaginable. One moment you wanted to leap for joy, then a fleeting time later, you wanted to crawl under a rock and die, with it all happening in 5 or 6 hours. In that small microcosm of time, my emotions had run the gambit from confusion to depression, embarrassment, joy, and happiness, then back to depression, then powerful anger. I must have passed out. Tonight, we are going to make our first little baby. Ally let out a sweet sigh, then gave me a tight hug around my neck and a soft kiss on my cheek. I carried her into the bedroom and closed the door.